My name is Eliza Hart. I turned 34 the evening my uncle slid an ivory envelope across the banquet table that was meant to shatter me. It was my cousin's Ava's engagement party. 250 people, a vineyard terrace strung with lanterns that glittered against the glass roof like trapped fireflies. The quartet played something mellow and expensive, and Ava stood 20 paces off in hand-stitched silk, a wine glass tilted toward me, observing, anticipating. My uncle crossed the polished stone floor carrying a thick envelope stamped with his office crest pressed deep into red wax. He placed it before 6 guests at my side and murmured I should open it privately. I tore it immediately, 3 sheets printed. Corporate jargon tangled with personal blame. The final paragraph declared I was no longer a Hart in practice or name. Ava's grin stretched. She wanted sobbing. She wanted me to flip my seat, create chaos 250 witnesses would gossip about during their ride home. But here's what everyone missed. 5 weeks earlier, before my uncle sealed that envelope, I had already executed documents that would dismantle every assumption they carried about ownership, where we highlight regular folks who picked self-respect over spectacle and limits over resentment. If you've ever been erased inside your own home, this story belongs to you. Comment below and hit follow. My mother was called Nora Hart. She lost her battle with liver failure when I was 15. That's the brief summary. The extended truth is she diminished for 7 months inside a clinic room while my uncle renovated his conference suite and hosted investor lunches. She begged me to carry her notebook. She begged my uncle to carry the firm's annual reports. He delivered lilies instead. She quit requesting. Nora Hart launched Hart Commercial Builders in 1996 with 35% equity and a used drafting board she discovered at a flea market. She engineered the initial 4 retail complexes that established the firm's reputation. My uncle negotiated them. That was their system. She created, he persuaded. 3 weeks past her burial, I discovered him emptying her studio, garments into dumpsters, necklaces into cardboard, binders into charity cartons. I lingered in the frame and observed him compress her existence into garbage bags. Yet he overlooked one item. Tucked behind rolled blueprints on her highest shelf rested a mahogany chest, small, bronze latches. It carried her studio's scent, mahogany and yellowed tracing paper, plus the whisper of rosemary pouches she tucked between files. Within lay a note, inked by hand, directed to me. Eliza, all I constructed so you'd never need to plead. Recall that when they dictate your worth. I was 15. I couldn't decode her meaning. I assumed Mother spoke like that, vast dramatic lines that felt heavy but signified nothing concrete. I saved the chest. I saved the note. I ignored the reverse side for 18 years. That became my first error. Or perhaps my mother's single concealment. 9 months following my mother's passing, my uncle escorted Vivian Cole to supper. She served as the firm's accountant. She had known my mother. She had occupied the 3rd pew, navy suit, still features. I recalled her because she alone stayed dry-eyed. Vivian relocated by winter. By spring, she had restructured the residence. My mother's reading sofa vanished to storage. Her landscape canvases descended from hallways. The study they shared transformed into Vivian's meditation space within 5 months. I located my parents' framed anniversary portrait in the recycling Thursday dawn. It lay beneath a pizza box and circulars. I retrieved it, cleaned grease from the frame, and transported it silently to my chamber. Vivian observed. She tapped that night. She perched beside me and rested a palm on my knee. Tender, practiced, the gesture that appears supportive from distance. "Your mom would prefer your uncle finding joy," she stated. "Don't center this on yourself." I was 16. I lacked terms for the discomfort. I simply sensed her tone mismatched her gaze. She enacted sympathy like rehearsing a monologue she'd memorized but never believed. Vivian's restructuring persisted. Within another year, my mother's name disappeared from the headquarters foyer. Her drafting board went to a technical institute. Her construction honors were crated and shelved upstairs. Vivian labeled it creating room for progress. I labeled it deletion, but I was 16 and nobody inquired what I labeled it. Ava arrived when I turned 17. Vivian delivered her in April. By May, the infant suite displayed designer murals costing beyond my annual textbook budget. By August, my uncle addressed party crowds about our fresh start, as though the previous 3 decades were merely preliminary sketches. Ava matured inside a household foreign to my memories. Boarding academy, ballet training, a vehicle at 17, a silver coupe with ribbon, corporate internships arranged via my uncle's network, university fees covered without one discussion regarding expense. I witnessed from margins, bartending evenings, renting used manuals, consuming instant noodles in my apartment while the household dined on lamb downstairs. Not because they bolted entries, because Vivian prepared 4 settings. She claimed I liked solitude. Ava wasn't vicious. That matters. She was 11 when she first questioned Vivian why I seemed distant during gatherings. Vivian stroked Ava's curls and replied, "Because she abandoned us, darling." Ava accepted it. Why wouldn't she? She was raised on narratives crafted by those who gained from them. Still, one instance replays constantly. Ava was 13. I visited for winter break, the final occasion for decades. She caught me scrubbing pans alone while others cheered sports. "Eliza," she asked, "why aren't you ever in holiday pictures?" I paused, then forced lightness. "I'm usually the photographer," I answered. She accepted and left. She was 13. She didn't realize the camera excuse was fabrication. I departed the morning following my 19th birthday, single duffel, an acceptance notice from the public university's civil engineering department, a mahogany chest nestled between folded hoodies. My uncle leaned against the pantry frame sipping espresso and stated, "If you exit through that door, expect nothing from this household." I exited. 16 years. That's what it required to assemble existence from one duffel. I pursued structural engineering because I admired the calculus of support beams, what mass a structure tolerated before fracturing. I labored on sites during summers. I interpreted schematics like others devoured mysteries. Each line represented a partition I could erect independently. By 26, I supervised teams at an industrial builder in Raleigh. By 29, I directed civic center renovations and commercial plazas valued at dozens of millions. I earned each promotion, each contract, each midnight analyzing concrete ratios at my folding desk. I never phoned seeking funds, never requested recommendations, never sought favors. That became my flaw, though I missed it then. I shouldered everything solo because relying on someone resembled gifting them a blade and indicating arteries. Maya Chen broke that pattern. We connected during orientation in a physics lab group. She pursued corporate law, I pursued engineering. We remained bonded like people do after witnessing each other bomb midterms and share stale fries at 1 a.m. Maya understood my household's complete narrative. She never urged forgiveness. She never urged amnesia. She simply remarked once over ramen on a Tuesday, "Eliza, you're the most capable human I've met and the most isolated." She nailed both observations. The initial fracture surfaced on a Wednesday in November. I was 33. I'd finally accumulated sufficient for a deposit on a loft, a one-bedroom inside a converted textile factory near downtown Raleigh. Solid framework, excellent windows, the sort of space I'd constructed for clients throughout my profession. The lending officer returned my call within 2 days. His tone was measured, rehearsed. "Miss Hart, we cannot authorize your mortgage presently. Several entries on your credit file require resolution. 2 property credit facilities, $195,000 combined, initiated when I was 17 and 18. Locations listed assets belonging to Hart Commercial Builders. Debtor name, Eliza Hart. My government ID number. My birth date." I remained inside my sedan in the institution's lot and examined the credit summary 4 times. The sheets trembled because my fingers trembled. $195,000 of obligation I never endorsed, linked to estates I never occupied, subsidizing a lifestyle I never experienced. I dialed Maya. She answered immediately. I recited the figures. She fell silent for 6 seconds. 6 seconds spans forever coming from counsel. "Eliza," she said, "they hijacked your identity. Physically." I stared at the summary. The figures were exact. The locations were exact. The timelines were exact. Both facilities launched while I remained a minor underneath my uncle's guardianship. Before I packed my duffel, before I crossed the threshold, they had converted me into security before I realized I was departing. "What now?" I whispered. "You permit me to retrieve files, then we uncover what else they seized." Maya discovered the directive on a Friday. She began with the credit facilities, following the property loans backward through municipal land registries. Hart Commercial Builders controlled 11 industrial sites spanning 4 districts. My mother's signature marked the founding documents for 8 of them as co-developer, architect, co-guarantor. After her passing, each document recorded Vincent Hart as exclusive holder. The transition registered under a managerial order executed by my uncle and submitted by the household's counsel. But Maya excavated deeper. 4 levels within the county clerk's electronic vault, she located a distinct registration, a hereditary directive composed by Nora Elaine Hart in 2005, 2 years preceding her illness, submitted with separate counsel, not the household attorney, an independent probate lawyer in an adjacent district. The directive named single inheritor, Eliza Hart. The holding, 35% equity of Hart Commercial Builders. Activation moment, the inheritor's 31st birthday. I was 34. The directive should have engaged 3 years prior. My uncle, serving as my mother's estate administrator, held legal duty to inform me. He didn't. He never lodged the directive with probate. He concealed it like Vivian concealed my mother's drafting board, silently, with a disposal slip and clear conscience. Maya phoned at 10:03 p.m. "Eliza, your mother allocated you 35% of that firm." I sank onto my kitchen linoleum. The tiles felt glacial against my knees. "She placed it in a directive," Maya proceeded. "Your uncle suppressed it for 18 years. I pressed the device to my ear and considered the mahogany chest beside my bed, considered the note within, considered a line I had reviewed countless times, yet never genuinely absorbed. All I constructed, I constructed so you'd never need to plead. The ceremony invite landed on a Sunday in February. Heavy ivory stock, embossed silver typography. Ava Hart and Julian Pierce. A vineyard estate in the Appalachian foothills. 250 guests. Formal attire suggested, which in my uncle's circle translated to formal required. I balanced the invite above my counter and calculated. The location alone commanded $70,000 to $90,000 for weekend rental, catering for 250, quartet not playlist, imported florals, bespoke confect from a patisserie in Asheville billing per layer, $295,000. Conservative calculation. The ceremony date approached late May. She lowered her voice. He'll discover after the ceremony. I gave a single nod. That sufficed. Vivian's control never roared. That's why it worked. She never shouted. She never menaced. She shifted existence one fragment at once, like you extract threads from a seam gradually, deliberately, until the entire garment collapses and nobody recalls it once being intact. Holiday feasts where my seat vanished. Oh, I assumed you weren't attending. Group pictures captured on the veranda excluding me. You were inside, dear. We couldn't delay. The sunlight faded. Year-end cards inscribed Vincent, Vivian, and Ava dispatched to 200 addresses each December, my identity scrubbed from the household's public image for a complete decade. She informed congregation ladies I had detached myself. Our eldest chose departure. We light candles for her each Sunday. She delivered it with the sorrowful expression of someone weighted by another's decisions, never hers. She informed Ava that my mom had been challenging and that my uncle had surrendered plenty. She informed Vincent that I was bitter and erratic and exactly like Nora. She uttered these statements at suppers, in vehicles, between television segments, a continuous stream of misinformation spanning 18 years. And the inheritance rejection notice, that was Vivian's crowning work. I uncovered this afterwards via Julian. It was Vivian who proposed it. Vivian who composed the wording. Vivian who selected the moment, the engagement celebration, 250 observers, peak crowd. A chess-certified notice will provide the household finality, she advised Vincent. She won't create disturbance at Ava's party. She's too dignified. She was correct regarding one aspect. I was too dignified. Yet she misjudged what dignified individuals execute when trapped. They don't weep, they don't flee, they calculate doors. She'll forever be Nora's child, never ours. That's what Vivian murmured to Vincent the evening preceding the party. Julian overheard through the sweet divider. My uncle was never the designer. My mother was. I failed to grasp this as a kid. I matured watching him exchange grips at corporate galas, deliver remarks at inaugurations, pose before structures bearing his surname. He resembled the creator. He possessed the wardrobe, the hand shape, the cadence. But the blueprints were Nora's. The initial 4 commercial ventures that established Hart Commercial Builders, a health complex, a riverside mixed development, a boutique inn that earned a district architecture prize. Every one originated from my mother's board, her drawings, her load calculations, her midnights with rulers and graphite. My uncle marketed them. He excelled at marketing. Investors allured him, lenders trusted him. Yet without Nora's concepts, he was a man with a firm grip and empty land. I recall a gathering when I was 13. A client's spouse leaned toward me and remarked, "Your mom runs the intellect behind this venture, you realize." She intended kindness. My uncle's expression darkened. Not furious, something worse. Uncovered, like someone yanked drapes and spectators glimpsed the gears backstage. 4 months past my mother's burial, he contracted a branding agency. They refreshed the enterprise, stripped Nora's name from the site, the stationery, the honors section. The company had always been Hart Commercial Builders publicly, but internally on founding papers, it read Nora Hart Design Collective. He altered that too. He wasn't merely concealing a directive, he was concealing the reality that all he possessed was erected by a woman whose identity he spent 18 years deleting. And I was the breathing evidence. I carried her chin, her penmanship, her tendency to remain silent until equations balanced. No surprise he desired my absence. Ava invited me gown hunting in April. It marked the first familial request I'd gotten in 9 years, lacking strings. I accepted not because I craved watching my half-cousin model garments financed by funds that ought to have been mine. I accepted because Maya instructed me to maintain normalcy. Preserve appearances until registrations finalize. Don't hand them cause for suspicion. The bridal boutique occupied a refurbished depot in West End. Tall windows, daylight, Prosecco upon entry. Vivian already occupied a plush seat, ankles crossed, appearing proprietorial. Ava modeled 8 gowns. She radiated in each. I won't deny it. She held Vivian's bone structure and my uncle's poise, and when she emerged in a pearl-encrusted design with chapel-length fabric, even the consultant paused. The gown priced at $15,500. Vivian produced a credit card. The consultant processed it. The slip ejected. Ava embraced her mother. Vivian flattened the receipt on the desk and moved toward exit. I examined the slip. The card was a MasterCard, final 4 numerals, 88852. I recognized the sequence. It connected to the first property facility, the one initiated under my name when I was 17. $195,000 of liability I never approved, and they utilized it to purchase a ceremony dress. I retrieved my device, photographed the slip. The consultant glanced over. I grinned. Saving a keepsake, I mentioned. $15,500 on a card tied to my government ID for a gown I'd never don for a celebration I wasn't meant to endure. I forwarded the image to Maya that evening. She texted back, logged. The practice dinner occurred the eve before the ceremony at a bistro the venue endorsed. Secluded space, linen drapes, a piano trio in the alcove, 45 attendees, relatives, bridal group, Julian's folks. I occupied the distant edge between a groomsman unknown to me and Julian's elderly aunt, who conversed primarily with her dinner roll. My uncle rose for remarks. He lifted bourbon and discussed kinship, about faithfulness, about ties unbroken by separation or dispute. He stared straight at me. Certain individuals earn their spot in a household, he declared. Others depart and presume it awaits. The space murmured. Several faces turned my way. Vivian clasped Vincent's fingers and gazed at her dish with practiced, victimized grace. Julian shifted seats. He met my glance across the table. His jaw hardened. I sipped water, smiled at the groomsman, inquired about his journey from Savannah. The instant dissolved. Post-meal, I headed towards restrooms. The corridor was tight, brick walls, dim bulbs. I detected voices before seeing figures, Vivian, Ava, murmuring. Tomorrow your father handles it. She won't cause disruption. Sure? Ava's tone was tinier than anticipated. What if she's too self-respecting to sob publicly, believe me. She'll read it, she'll depart, and that concludes it. I halted, tallied to 5. Then I rounded the bend and strode past both without recognition. Vivian stiffened. Ava studied her flats. I cleaned hands, dried them, returned to my seat, and finished my water. The night preceding the ceremony, I sat solitary in my lodging. The vineyard estate included a small lodge beside the property. My chamber faced the water. I heard catering vans arriving for morning, the drone of generators testing, someone chuckling on the pier. I unlocked the mahogany chest. I transported it from my mother's studio to each flat, each town, each restart for 18 years. The bronze latches were dull now. The timber had deepened, but lifting the cover released the identical aroma. Mahogany and rosemary and aged tracing paper, my mother's workspace condensed into 6 inches of wood. I reread the note. I'd reviewed it countless times. The folds softened, the ink blurred where my thumb lingered. Eliza, all I constructed so you'd never need to plead. Recall that when they dictate your worth. Then I inverted the sheet. I'd never examined the reverse. Not at 15 when I first located it. Not at 19 when I tucked it inside my duffel. Not at 26 or 31 or 33. I'd studied the front hundreds of times and refolded it into the chest every instance without turning. On the reverse, in my mother's script, tinier, more deliberate, as if penned separately, were 3 items: a name, a number, and brief direction. Margaret Shelby. The number carried a different region code than ours, and the phrase, request the directive. My mother understood. She knew my uncle would conceal it. She knew Vivian would assist. She drafted herself a contingency in her own hand and placed it inside a mahogany chest on a shelf her daughter would uncover. I pressed the letter to my chest. The paper warmed from my palms. 18 years delayed, but I stood here. Maya phoned at 8:05 the ceremony morning. I was already attired. Charcoal dress, sensible flats, the mahogany chest inside my clutch. I'd barely rested. I'd devoted most darkness researching Margaret Shelby, the counsel my mother inscribed on the note's back. She'd retired in 2020, but her practice continued operating. Maya had reached them in February. That's how she located the directive registration so swiftly. Positive update, Maya said. Probate court approved the directive activation filing. Effective 10 a.m. yesterday, you're lawfully acknowledged as exclusive inheritor of Nora Hart's hereditary directive. I perched on the lodge mattress edge. 35% of Hart Commercial Builders belongs to you, Eliza. It belonged to you since your 31st birthday. Your uncle simply withheld it. And the AG initial inquiry launched. They possess the identity fraud claim, the fabricated administrator papers, the facility records. Your uncle receives an inquiry notice by early next week. I gazed through glass. The water lay smooth and pewter. Chairs arranged across the lawn in lines of 25. Whatever transpires today, Maya said, you've already prevailed legally. It was never regarding legality, I replied. Maya paused briefly. Then one additional item. She traced the falsified administrator affidavit, the one suppressing the directive. The notary seal belongs to Vivian Cole Hart. She was the submitter. I shut my eyes. Vincent endorsed it, Maya said, but Vivian fabricated it. She was the accountant. She understood every file's location. Vivian, who instructed me not to center this on myself, who removed my mother's name from the foyer, who proposed the inheritance rejection notice. I thanked Maya, ended call, placed device in my clutch beside the mahogany chest. Time to attend a ceremony. If you've ever uncovered someone you trusted was extracting from you in manners you never pictured, you recognize the sensation, that frigid, crystalline awareness. If you're still with me, leave a remark and press follow, because what unfolded at that ceremony was merely the start. The ceremony was stunning. I'll state that frankly because it's accurate. The estate perched on a crest above the water, ivory seats spread across trimmed lawn, an arch of ranunculus and silver dollar, a string ensemble performing pachelbel, then something contemporary I didn't identify. 250 attendees in linen and chiffon cooling themselves in the late May warmth. I occupied the rear row, not by preference. Vivian orchestrated placement. Relatives filled the initial 5 rows left. I was in row 16, right side, between a colleague of Julian's and an aged cousin of Vivian's who emanated rosemary. I didn't object. Ava proceeded down the aisle with my uncle.
She was luminous. The pearl dress captured sunshine and dispersed it in tiny white bursts across the grass. Her fabric was chapel length, flowing behind like a second bride. Julian's eyes dampened seeing her. His palms shook accepting hers. That portion was genuine. Whatever else I might claim about the individuals surrounding this wedding, Julian adored Ava. I observed it in how his lips compressed when he fought tears. The promises were conventional, brief, a pastor from the chapel Vivian frequented. "Do you accept this woman?" "I do." "Do you accept this man?" "I do." Bands, a kiss, applause. I applauded alongside everyone. I sensed the mahogany chest press my rib through my clutch. I considered my mother traversing an aisle 2 decades before this one, gripping the arm of a man who'd devote the following era erasing her. The string arrangement performed the recessional. Sun struck the water. 250 individuals rose and grinned. I rose and grinned too. The reception occupied a marquee the dimensions of a small aviation shelter, open flanks facing the water, a timber dance floor installed over grass, a 10-piece band transported from Nashville, table arrangements that likely exceeded my first month's rent in Raleigh. I was placed at table 21, the farthest table from the hit table, the location you assign people you must invite but prefer not to notice. I shared it with a pensioned auditor from Julian's company, 2 of Ava's college sisters who devoted the entire cocktail period to their devices, and a pair from Vivian's block who repeatedly questioned if I was the other child. I consumed the chicken, sipped the club soda, exchanged polite conversation about Raleigh housing and the unusual heat. I was midway through cake when I spotted him. My uncle arose from the head table. He whispered to Vivian. She acknowledged. He straightened his blazer, reached beneath the table, and retrieved an envelope. Ivory, ceremonial. I distinguished the wax stamp from 50 feet distant. He traversed the dance floor. The band performed a Gershwin tune. Pairs still swayed. Vivian phoned 20 minutes afterward. She'd likely seized the device from Vincent. "Eliza, please." Identical word, altered tone. Hers dripped with tears, the variety that arrives rapid and loud when the act demands urgency. "I possess nowhere to retreat if this enterprise collapses. Your uncle and I, we constructed this existence jointly. Ava recently wed. Consider your cousin." I coasted into my complex garage, killed the engine again. "Vivian, You counterfeited the administrator papers. That was your uncle's choice. You initiated cards under my identity. You financed a ceremony with them. You charged a card tied to a fraudulent property facility to purchase a $15,500 gown. The weeping ceased instantly, as though somebody shut a spigot. Your mother departed because she was egotistical, Vivian stated. The warmth evaporated from her voice now, supplanted by something frigid and trapped. She positioned work ahead of family. She was so consumed with her schematics and structures that she neglected she had a spouse. Precisely like you, detached, calculating, convinced you're superior. My mother didn't depart, Vivian. She passed. Silence. She passed from liver failure at 42 in a clinic bed, requesting her notebook while her spouse booked client meals. She didn't leave. You simply told everyone she did. Vivian emitted a noise I'd never heard from her before. Not sobbing, not anger.
Something between a choke and a moan. The sound of a fabrication imploding beneath its own mass. My mother established a directive because she recognized precisely whom she married, I said. Farewell, Vivian. I disconnected, remained in the garage for 10 minutes. The concrete felt icy, and the fluorescent fixtures buzzed above. Then I ascended and prepared supper. Ava called 3 days later, Thursday dusk. Her voice was tiny. Not the voice she employed at the ceremony, refined, rehearsed, assured. This was the voice of somebody whose furnishings had been shifted in darkness and who kept colliding with objects she hadn't anticipated there. Julian disclosed certain matters, regarding the cards, regarding a directive, she said. I sat on my sofa. The screen was dark. The mahogany chest rested on the table before me. Is it accurate? She inquired. Did Dad did he secure loans under your name? Yes. And Mom allocated you something, a directive with firm equity? Yes. Why did nobody inform me? I shut my eyes. 30 years of conditioning. 30 years of being instructed I deserted the household. 30 years of trusting the narrative because the narrative was comfortable and the reality was not. Would you have trusted me? I said. The pause stretched. I tallied to 6 before she responded. I don't know, she said. That's truthful, and I honor that. Another pause. I could detect Julian in the distance, a murmur too faint to decipher, backing her from the adjacent space without looming. What transpires now? Ava asked.
Something between a choke and a moan. The sound of a fabrication imploding beneath its own mass. My mother established a directive because she recognized precisely whom she married, I said. Farewell, Vivian. I disconnected, remained in the garage for 10 minutes. The concrete felt icy and the fluorescent fixtures buzzed above. Then I ascended and prepared supper. Ava called 3 days later, Thursday dusk. Her voice was tiny, not the voice she employed at the ceremony. Refined, rehearsed, assured. This was the voice of somebody whose furnishings had been shifted in darkness and who kept colliding with objects she hadn't anticipated there. Julian disclosed certain matters, regarding the cards, regarding a directive, she said. I sat on my sofa. The screen was dark. The mahogany chest rested on the table before me. Is it accurate? She inquired. Did Dad Did he secure loans under your name? Yes. And Mom allocated you something? A directive with firm equity? Yes. Why did nobody inform me? I shut my eyes. 30 years of conditioning. 30 years of being instructed I deserted the household. 30 years of trusting the narrative because the narrative was comfortable and the reality was not. Would you have trusted me? I said. The pause stretched. I tallied to 6 before she responded. I don't know, she said. That's truthful, and I honor that. Another pause. I could hear Julian in the distance, a murmur too faint to decipher, backing her from the neighboring space without looming. What transpires now? Ava asked.
2. Credit restoration. Both property credit facilities terminated. All connected liabilities erased from my credit history. $52,000 in documented reparations remitted to me within 90 days. 3. Nora Hart's name reinstated as co-founder on every corporate record, the firm's site, and the foyer plaque at headquarters, effective within 30 days. Vincent signed Tuesday. Vivian signed adjacent. Their council suite occupied a glass high-rise in downtown Raleigh. Maya mentioned later that Vincent's palm was stable when he signed, that he appeared like a man who'd accepted a prognosis. I didn't attend the signing. I was evaluating structural plans for a mixed development in Durham, but I checked the company site that evening. There it stood, refreshed that afternoon, the About section, second paragraph. Hart Commercial Builders was established in 1996 by Nora and Vincent Hart. I gazed at the monitor. Her name in the identical typeface as his, in the identical line as his, 20 years after they extracted it. I captured a screenshot, forwarded it to Maya. There she is. Maya replied with a period. Merely a period, she comprehended. Vincent vacated as CEO within the month. The firm declared it as semi-retirement.
The media statement mentioned a wish to concentrate on personal projects. Nobody challenged it openly, though Julian told me the senior partners had been informed regarding the inquiry, and the atmosphere in the suite was frosty. Vivian didn't address me. I didn't anticipate her to. Certain doors shut with a notice, others shut with a signature on a resolution paper. Hers shut with both. Ava dispatched me a text on the 1st of each month. How are you? Identical message each instance. I responded each instance. Good, you? We weren't mended. We were communicating. Distinction exists, and it sufficed. Nathan forwarded me a picture in August. Ava seated on their living room floor, legs folded, encircled by antique design diaries she located in the attic. My mother's penmanship occupied each sheet. Drawings of structures that were erected, drawings of structures that never materialized, notes concerning materials, notes concerning illumination. She's beginning to grasp, Nathan wrote. I studied the picture for an extended while. My half-cousin reading my mother's diaries, uncovering a woman she'd been instructed didn't matter. Hart Commercial persisted, diminished, quieter. The firm still constructed things. Vincent still controlled 65%. But the structures didn't bear the same gravity when the name on the entrance included someone he'd attempted to obliterate. I cast my shares via proxy. I didn't join board sessions. I didn't enter the suite. I possessed my own structures to draft, my own steel to specify, my own blueprints to study at 2 a.m. The 35% wasn't regarding authority. It was regarding amendment. Certain amendments require 18 years, some 6 weeks, some both. I positioned the mahogany chest on my desk. New office, larger practice, a corner with a pane overlooking a build site where a community health hub was rising. My assignment from base to rooftop. The chest sat between my engineering certificate and a mounted blueprint of my initial solo project, a commercial kitchen for a nonprofit culinary initiative in West Raleigh. Both earned, both mine. I opened the cover once more. Mahogany and rosemary. 18 years and the fragrance hadn't diminished. I read the note's front. Eliza, all I constructed so you'd never need to plead. I flipped it. Request the directive. I photographed both faces, printed them, mounted them in a plain black frame, and placed them beside the chest. The wood was deeper now than when my mother set it on that shelf. The bronze hinges showed green traces at the borders, but the alignment remained snug, the cover still secured with a clean, silent snap. My mother built things that endured, structures that withstood tempests.
A company that survived her marriage. A directive that endured 18 years of concealment. And a mahogany chest that still carried her closet scent on a Tuesday afternoon in September. In a corner office, her daughter had secured the difficult way. I closed the cover. I didn't require opening it again, but I knew its location, and that was the entire purpose. My uncle handed me a notice intended to erase me. But you cannot erase someone who already recognizes who she is. My mother instructed me that, not with orations, not with lessons, but with a few phrases inscribed on the reverse of a note I carried for 19 years. The individuals who attempt to diminish you are the ones who understand you aren't small. Trust yourself. The documentation will follow. That's my account. 1 notice at a ceremony, 1 mahogany chest, and 19 years of patience. If you've ever needed to battle for something your household attempted to conceal from you, circulate this video with someone who requires hearing it. Leave a remark, press follow, and I'll see you in the next one.